Hello, I am going to explain the last part of this PowerPoint about photosynthesis. We're not going to go into cellular respiration today. We didn't get that far in class, so we're just going to stop at the end of the photosynthesis slides. And I believe we're almost there. I think we were at, let me see, which one were we on? This one. Okay, this is the one we were on, so I think we're going to be going to this one next. So we were talking about the electron transport chain. Let's see if I can get this started. There we go. And I said I was going to show you a picture of it. So here is a picture in more detail of the electron transport chain. So you have light from the sun going into photosystem 2, and then inside the thylakoid, you have these proteins that move the electrons along. And so what's happening is the electrons are transporting from one protein to another, and they're always going from a higher energy level to a lower energy level and releasing that energy so that it can be used by the chloroplast to make sugar. So electrons always move from higher energy to lower energy. Oops, there. Energy being produced right there. Okay. Now, I keep talking about ATP. What is this mysterious ATP? ATP, adenosine triphosphate, it's a chemical and it's a usable form of energy for plant and animal cells. And it has energy stored in its bonds. That's how we get energy from ATP. Our bodies break the bonds, and that releases energy that's been stored there. And then it goes into a lower energy chemical called adenosine diphosphate. And it's still, you can still get energy out of it because you still have bonds there. There are two bonds there, but it's not as much energy as ATP. And ATP is the form of energy that the cells in the plant and also the animal cells use to get our energy so that we can stay alive. So here is photosystem 1, the light independent reaction. And what happens here is the electrons have to be excited again. They're bumped up to a higher energy level as they go through, and then they're passed to a protein inside the thylakoid, and there's a chemical that accepts the electrons there, and it's called NADP+. And I will tell you how to pronounce that, but I'm double checking myself. So it is nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide phosphate, and sometimes it's in this form, which is nicotinamide adenosine dinucleotide phosphate hydrogen. That is this chemical right here. And this happens with the light independent reaction. When the NADP goes to the NADPH, then you've got hydrogens here and not outside of the thylakoid. You don't have very many outside of the thylakoid. All the hydrogens are like squeezed in here. So what happens is you have an enzyme. The enzyme is called ATP synthase, and the ATP synthase helps the hydrogens move out of the thylakoid in a process called a concentration gradient. So think of it like this. So let's pretend like the hydrogens are inside an elevator and they're all squeezed in the elevator, 20 hydrogens in the elevator. And when the doors open, what's going to happen? The hydrogens are going to come spilling out because there's not enough room inside the elevator for all the hydrogens. That's the concentration gradient. It's called diffusion, when molecules move from a higher concentration to a lower concentration. And we see that happen in nature all the time. And in this case, it's used to help the plants create glucose. I don't know if this is going to work. Sometimes if I'm recording, I'll try to play a little video on YouTube and the sound doesn't work, but I'm going to give it a shot and see if the sound will work when we're recording. So let me turn it up and then I'll try it again. Green pigment of leaves absorbs. Okay. The photosystem consists of arrays of chlorophyll molecules. Chlorophyll, the green pigment of leaves, absorbs light energy. The absorbed energy excites electrons to a higher energy level. Energized electrons from photosystem 1 are passed down an electron transport chain and added to NADP+ to form NADPH. Meanwhile, Okay, I hope that worked. I will have to wait until I'm done recording to go back and see if the sound was on. But if it's not, then you can watch that directly on YouTube. I can put a link in there. So back to the PowerPoint. Let's see, this is where we were. So next slide. Okay, so after the electrons are turned into ATP and NADPH, they go through something called the Calvin cycle. So this is a picture of the Calvin cycle, and it's very complicated. You don't have to memorize this. It's sometimes called the carbohydrate shuffle. So the carbohydrates are just kind of moving along there and changing form. And what's happening is all of the carbon is used to make sugars. So it takes 6 turns around the Calvin cycle to make one glucose molecule. So this is happening all of the time in the plant to make energy so that the plant can survive, and also we can survive because we eat the plants. Here's a picture of the light-independent reaction, like where it occurs. I don't think this video works. Let me see. Last time I tried to open it, last class period, it didn't work. I'll have to find another one. Okay, that doesn't work, so I will find another version of that and link it to the agenda. And this is kind of like the wrap-up slide right here. If I can move my picture. There we go. So all together now. So this is a chloroplast. Chloroplasts absorb light energy from the sun in the leaves of plants, and they reflect the green wavelength of light, which is why they look so green to us. This chloroplast is an organelle in the cell of the plants that are in the leaves. And when the stromata, which are the little openings in the leaves, when they open up, then the plant can absorb water, and the plant can also absorb carbon dioxide. And then it takes those things. It takes those things and the light. I don't want to leave out light because that's important. And it uses all of those things to make ATP, which is the form of usable energy, and NADPH, which is another form of usable energy. And then oxygen is expelled into the atmosphere so that animals can breathe it. Then all that energy goes into the Calvin cycle. That's where the CO2 is used. And the Calvin cycle produces energy. NADP plus and ADP plus an inorganic phosphate is produced there. And what comes out of all of that is the sugar. So in a nutshell, the chloroplast takes in light, water, and carbon dioxide and gives off oxygen and sugar. And it does that through a light-dependent reaction in the thylakoid and a light-independent reaction in the mitochondria of the cell, and that's called the Calvin cycle. So all of that together gives us photosynthesis. We're not going to start on cellular respiration until next week. So if you have any questions, I know that's very complicated, but when we get ready to do the quiz, don't worry, I will zero in on the very most important points, and I will give you a review. So if you have any questions about this and you need to go over it again, or anything at all, just email me and I'll be glad to help you in any way I can. Okay. So, last slide. I'm sorry. Here's a chart. So this is the input I was just talking about: carbon dioxide and water. And then it gives off sugar and oxygen and energy, ATP and NADPH. The light-independent reaction, also known as the Calvin cycle, input carbon dioxide, NADPH, and ATP, and it gives you glucose. So there you go. And I believe that's it. Yep, that's it. We're not going to do any more. So have a great weekend. Take care of yourself, and I'll be glad to see you when you get back. So hang in there. We miss you. Okay? Bye.